What's up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks. Because when we got the Red Cup, we're about to spill some truth. So today, I have a guest with me. A lot of the times I like to do these videos on my own, but every now and then when I do a live stream, I like to have, my favorites. And one of my favorites is my good girlfriend, Miss Cam from the Valley. What's up, Cam?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. If I can get this mic to stay still. Yeah. So today I have a lot. Well, it's not a lot. It's like four people, but it's that they're doing a lot. So I got four women that are in politics. So the whole purpose of the live stream today is to talk about women in politics, preferably women of color. So I'm calling it representation. I'm still, thinking about what I'm going to put on the thumbnail, but I'm going to call it representation, right? Because a lot of these women are representing some form of fashion a woman of color, whether it's Asian, whether it's black or African American, and so on and so on and so on, right? Mexican, because one lady's half Mexican. So I'm just looking at it and I'm just saying, here we are in 2024 where we're talking about electing a woman of color, whether you want to call her black or not is besides the point. She's still a woman of color. So here we are talking about that, and it's nothing but women of color in the media, but not for good reasoning, right? So the women we have, in the cup today, because we gonna have to pour out a lot with these chicks. The women that we have, it's been a long withstanding thing, right? It's one thing after the other, one thing after the other. And now we're looking at it and we're seeing, okay, these women, they got put in these positions because preferably they're women and women of color, and they're given an opportunity that most women of color don't get, right? Most of these are the first this, the first that in their district, the first whatever. And this is the representation. So I just want to get your thoughts on that real quick.
Oh, the
Can you hear
video.
me?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was just saying I want to get your thoughts on what I just said real quick.
Oh, yeah. I think, what you're saying is important because, the fact that we are a minority in certain spaces, it is important for us to show up a certain type of way,
Hmm.
especially when, we have certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Certain, like, implications of what we are supposed to show up as and what other communities outside looking in might see us portray as. So I think it is unfortunate when we do see these women in these positions of being the first of something and they're not being the representation that I feel like or you feel like that we would need and actually benefit from to even stop us from being a minority in these spaces.
No, I agree with you because the first one that we're going to get into, Miss Fani Willis, who is the DA down in Georgia, she is, a lot of the cases that she has are cases that could be like landmark cases, but she's botching the YSL trial case. Like it's the longest case down in Georgia, and it's just not going well. She did awful with the Trump situation in that case. And then she had the scandal with the affair with the guy on the attorney on her team. And you have all of that combined, and she's still out here acting reckless because you got to remember she was using uh public funds to go, to fly places with him and taking him certain places. I never understand why women do
I
that.
never get
Like,
confused
you
by
trying to act like a boss.
like what are we doing here? Like this is exactly why it took so long for women in general to get into these spaces. But the fact that these women are what I would consider to be like DEI hires. They put them in these places because they wanted them to be the first so that you get shut up about asking for it. And then it's like, okay, we finally give you these positions. We finally let you get your foot in the door. And now you mess it up and
Yep.
you prove to them exactly why we've been a minority in these spaces.
Yeah, that's exactly correct, right? So you ask for these positions because you're put there, right? You're not, and it's not that they don't maybe have credentials. A lot of them don't, but some of them do, right? And you say, okay, I get a leg up, and you get here and you do the worst, right? And some people's pushback is, okay, well, there are women, I mean, I'm sorry, there are men who get in these positions and do bad, right? But if you're saying that everything can be better if it's woman led, is it your thought process to get it and do what the men have done or do better? Like what is the thought process? Because if you're just going to do the same, then
Might
we
as
might
well
as well
stick
stick with
with
the
it.
men,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So I'm gonna get into our first video here, and like I said, it's Fani Willis. And what's happening is a few days ago, maybe like a day or two ago, her daughter got arrested,
Okay.
and I guess she was driving without a license, and talking on the phone. Like, if you know you don't have no license, like, girl.
Crazy enough,
So
it's like, how do you name a public figure and you don't have a driver's license? Like,
but she thinks she can do whatever because her mom is the DA down there. So, she gets on here, she's driving, and they arrest her, and Fanny comes on the scene, but it's when she comes on the scene and who she's with. So we're gonna get into that now. And just so for everyone that's watching, this is camera footage from the police. So you're watching what the police on the body worn camera is watching.
Couple hours, probably.
So
That's fine. Okay. What's his name?
and mind you, her daughter is pregnant, right? So her daughter is pregnant, and her daughter is, doing all of this stuff, and I'm just like, you're doing all this stuff while you're pregnant. But yeah, so Fani, like I said, shows up on the scene, and she shows up with the gentleman that she's in, the hot water with, that she said didn't have that she didn't, she wasn't in a affair with, but yet he's in the car with her. So I really wanted to get your thoughts on that. First, of just her showing up on the scene and her daughter being totally in the wrong, and her trying to figure out like what she has to do. I know it's a little loud, but her trying to figure out what her daughter has to do, and what she needs to do to get her out. and then showing up on the scene with oh boy who's again married.
First, I think it's really so I just find that kind of funny. But it's also going to show that they really don't care about their perception. You know what I'm saying? Why would you show up with this man, no matter his role on the legal team? It has no relevance on her being arrested, the daughter. So I just think it's insane, especially with him being a married man. You know, like you don't even care about your own perception, and she didn't even show up in any type of professional attire. She literally looked like she rolled out of bed and just got there. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't know if she thought like it wasn't gonna get out, right? Because it has nothing really to do with her. So she wasn't really concerned about it, but she's still rolling around with this guy after getting on the stand and testifying and saying that I never did none of this stuff and I'm not doing none of that and yada yada yada. And there he is. Right. So
he'll
I'm
probably
just
become his
like,
daughter's rescue.
yeah, and then the other thing is the daughter, right? So the daughter is I think she's about 25. She's pregnant. She's, she's not married, things like that. So it's just like what kind of example are you setting for your daughter, right? Yes, you have achieved something that most women and especially black women don't get to achieve, but you have you have your daughter watching you, sleep around with a married man. Like you don't even have the respect for yourself or your daughter not to even do that in front of her.
I was gonna say, I mean, it's clear the perception of how she's raising her and the example that she set. Because when people, cheer on these black women for these monumental occupations that they have, nobody thinks about the fact that, for one, there's a reason why it's a minority of people in general in these occupations. But when we look at it from the men's point of view, who majority hold these offices and these positions of occupation, it is very time consuming. Like they're very much married to their jobs. So the fact that you would even pick a career field like this, I don't know, is she a single mom, I'm assuming?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, so it's just like how can you be the best mom that you can be when 80%, 90% of your time is spent in your career field? You're on call all the time. So
Yeah.
I feel like and hurrahing these women for doing these positions. It's like, are y'all really thinking about their families and their children and how much their kids actually see them? Because these are very much time consuming, very much life consuming occupations to have, especially when you don't have a husband to help take that load off of you on a regular basis, especially when it's not a norm for them to have nannies and to have a village that they say you need in order to thrive. So
And that's the other thing, right? Like you have excuse me, you have um you have the resources, right? And I'm pretty sure you had it growing, with her growing up, right? So I'm just like I'm just like I see a lot of the times women in those positions, and I talked about this one time on my podcast that women like single parent women seem to like not want to ask for help. Like later on, they'll be like, I didn't get any help. I had to do this by myself, but they champion in it. Like they live in it.
and
And
so when people
so,
say I made it through the struggle, it's like,
right. Like
yeah,
it's a badge of honor that you had to do all of this stuff. So I'm just sitting here like I get why her daughter is, is like this because it was fine for mom. Mom made it, right? And I'm just like, what kind of representation, not only for her daughter, but for other, quote unquote, women with little girls of color that want to say, hey, I want to get into those positions, right? So it always begs. I'll say this. It always leaves me with the thought process of that little girls. Like, what are we really teaching them? Are we teaching them that yes, you can have a career, but you know, if if you want to prioritize family, then you need to prioritize family. Or we teaching them, go ahead, do the career. If you get pregnant, or you know, if you meet someone, get pregnant, I want to have a baby, you can do it and do the career. It doesn't matter that you're not going to be home as much. It doesn't matter, you know, that you know somebody else might have to raise them, things like that, because these jobs are very demanding, right? Like your doctors, your lawyers. So it's just like, why would, or how do women in these positions like manage that when you're single? Right? It's one thing when you're a attorney, because a lot of people like to talk about the fictional Cosby Show and things like that, but that is a two-parent system. So how does a single mom do attorney's work and actually spend time with the child?
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think people in real life thinking about it, because somebody's gonna get a detriment, and it can't be the
Mm.
job if the job is what's taking care of the household. So somebody's missing out, and it ends up most of the time being the child. And in these situations like this is why I said it's like I believe they're pushing choose the career first, and then if a family happens, it's like, oh, okay. But just like you said, it's not even like do the family in the way that we should be doing it. It's like, oh, if you get pregnant, it's cool. You know, a kid doesn't stop anything. And it's like,
I totally agree. So the next woman I have here is Angelique Lee. So Angelique Lee is a special case because I did a video on something called the Black Benefit, where a lot of people who are not Black, or maybe only a small percentage of Black, or can pass for Black, right? Use Blackness to get ahead. Well, Angelique, I put her in that video because she's one of them. She's Asian and Mexican. So she's not Black at all. She don't have a Black parent, Black grandparent, any of it that you can find. And she ran as the first African American in Mississippi in her district. And she won. Like, she's the first African American woman to ever have this seat. So she's a councilwoman in that district. And she got charged for bribes, and so she had to resign. So I'm just going to play a little bit of that, and then we're going to come back and talk about that.
Well, it has, in fact, been a very dramatic day here at the federal courthouse for Angelique Lee. She spent much of the day before two different judges, a magistrate and the chief district judge. She told the judge that she knew right from wrong and that it was wrong for her to take bribes. Now, here is what prosecutors accuses her of doing. According to that bill of criminal information, Lee cash deposits and other gifts from an unnamed person described as unindicted co-conspirator A. The documents say Lee agreed to shut down a road and vote to approve a real estate development for a hotel at the Jackson Convention Complex. The fictitious deal involved two undercover FBI agents who pretended to be real estate developers from Nashville, Tennessee, who wanted to invest in that project. Now, Lee agreed to have the road, which was unnamed in the court documents, to be closed, and she would later cast votes at the council meeting in favor of that hotel development, again in exchange for thousands of dollars. Now, according to the document, this past February, Lee accepted $10,000 in electronic transfer to pay off a portion of her campaign debt. And then in March, she took $3,000 for personal use. Also in March, the undercover agents described as confidential human source 1 and 2 allowed Lee to use their credit card to spend $6,000 at a luxury retail store in Jackson. Federal prosecutors say Lee funneled some of the money to a bank account owned or controlled by that unindicted co-conspirator. We spoke with her attorney outside the courthouse after she pleaded guilty.
Good people make bad decisions at times, but I must say that for her to come in and take full responsibility for her actions says a lot about her and her character. And so this is a tough chapter for her. And hopefully this is the beginning phases of rehabilitating her character for her constituents and for the people of Jackson. And she wishes the city continued growth and success.
Now, Lee will remain free on a $10,000 unsecured bond. She's scheduled to be sentenced on November 13th. Federal prosecutors filed that sentencing recommendation under seal, so we don't know how much time they're recommending or any possible jail time they're recommending for her guilty plea this afternoon. I can tell you that Chief Judge Dan Jordan reminded Lee that by pleading guilty and agreeing to be sentenced, she will give up her right to vote, her right to serve on a jury, and indeed her right to serve in public office. It's rather a turn of events for a woman who just one day ago was Jackson's city councilwoman, Ward 2. For now, we're live at the federal courthouse in downtown. Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
So you see that, like, she and when I got into the deeper story, right, those are not big numbers. Those are like,
I literally, that is the first thing I saw was like, that should show how much ignorance they have, because it's like, y'all can't even do crime correctly. You can't even do white collar crime correctly. How did you, $20,000? That's it? Like, that's what you just lost your entire life's work and everything for $20,000. Like, that's nothing.
she sure did. She sure did. I was looking at that, like, I'm like, oh, she got paid. I'm like, so she's gonna close the roads and it's a hotel. I said, oh, I know she got some money. Maybe she gonna like F it. I'm gonna take the time. I got paid, whatever. Right. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Man, I saw that. I was like, girl, I could have gave you that.
Like, you couldn't have made that. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's shopping money.
You make more than that. They gave her a credit card. Like, ma'am.
I feel like, again, it just shows why, again, we have not been given the opportunities. And then the moment that you're given, first of all, I feel like it should be understood that when you're in public office and certain, political positions of power, there are benefits that you will get to enjoy. And
Right.
it is just mind blowing to me that they will immediately, like, you messing the game up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, dang, you can't even like keep it cool, keep it cute. Like, they just don't know how to move, and it's showing every day. And again, it's just like, what are we really hurrahing and rooting for? Because they're not doing anything. You can't even handle the bag correctly when it was given to you. Even again, we have to understand that, there are things that they're able to do, and, undercutting the law and possibly getting paid for certain things. I'm sure that happens with all politicians, but you're messing up the game and putting a light on them that they never wanted on them. And I just think it's just proving the
and those people are going to be down there like, see, this is, and mind you, you can't make a blanket statement, but we know how people are. See, this is why we don't elect this and that and this and that. Now, first of all, you saw that woman. How did they think that was an African American woman?
I don't understand. Those are natural bundles in her head.
Some of y'all be in the comments is talking about me, talking about, well, you wear black. How did y'all think she was?
You look more of a black woman than her. You look more of a black woman.
That's what I said. That's what I'm like, hold on. I'm like, y'all be coming for me, right? I'm like, at least I have a half black parent. What is that? Like, that woman don't look no bit like she don't look it. She look exactly what she is, Mexican and Asian.
Very much so.
Yes. She's giving Selena's. She's giving it. Right? Okay. So I'm like, she's giving it to me. And it's cool. It's cool, right? I'm Cuban. I understand. But she's giving Selena's. So I'm like, I don't understand why y'all thought that was it. Like, why y'all let that lady run like that? And that's the thing that I'm having a hard time with, with Kamala, right? Y'all are letting people play in your face. If you want to vote for her, that's totally fine. But as long as it's not, and you know, you were on that viral video with, you know, Anton, and like you sat there and had to hear that lady say, well, yeah, I'm just, you know, because she's black.
We gotta get one in. So it's like,
I'm like, what? And but when you do this, you know, what we just watched is what you get. Right? Because you're not vetting that woman because she has the experience. You're just like, well, we have the same skin color. I'm like, well, tons of people are brown. What does that have to do with anything? Tons of people are light skinned, whatever you want to call it. You know, like it's
and I think
tons of
that's
it.
so funny because it's like when people want to use the color argument when it benefits them, but in other conversations, then it's all skin folk and kin folk. So it's like, okay, we understand that even when you look at just how crime wise that we kill each other more than anybody else. But nobody wants to talk about that because then it's like, oh no, because that's due to proximity. We need to talk about the other crimes. And I'm just like, so it's always an excuse only when it
Yeah.
fits your point.
Yeah. And when they say it's due to proximity, okay, yes. Most people kill each other because that's who they're around. The problem with the African American community or the black community is that they're at a smaller percentage and they kill each other at a higher rate.
Exactly. And they don't,
So,
but that's another thing with like statistics and stuff. People are
yeah,
always use statistics to talk about it, but it's like it's because y'all don't understand the implications of how the numbers are working, which is why I'm
yeah,
trying to get them to understand how can we be the majority in something when they're minority of the community of the United States. That's a
yeah,
problem.
yeah,
But all they
yeah.
see is the numbers of it, and it's just like I even a couple of days ago I had looked up the number of black people that have been murdered by police officers, like, and it was less than 1,000 for
Mhm.
like all time, less than 1,000. And when I read case by case each case, unfortunately, obviously it wasn't right the murder, but each
Right.
one of these people did something. Whether obviously they weren't supposed to die, but there was always some caveat to the case. Whether they ran away from the police, whether they were armed and shot at the police, and it's just like it's just always something. But people don't want to dive into the cases and see exactly what happened. And
Right.
it's not to say that the murders are right, but it's the fact that you guys need to be objective and understanding that at the end of the day, these people are supposed to be doing a job. And if you're
Mhm.
meeting them with animosity and ignorance from the moment that they pull you over, it was never going to be a good interaction, anyways.
Yeah, I think I think they get into a lot of like um sometimes they get into a lot of semantics, right? Like yes, there are a faction of police officers that are awful.
Absolutely.
There are. Like my family, a lot of my family members are police officers and military. So, do I know? Yeah, there's a lot of those, right? But that's not the majority of officers that I have met. Right? So I can acknowledge one thing and that still be true. And I can acknowledge that, yeah, that's not the majority of police officers. So, you know, when I look at every case that comes up, and if it's fitting of it, like and I'm sorry I don't remember her name, but the lady that was just that it just happened to, the one that had like the boiling pot of water or something like that, and you know the guy shot her. To me, from just what I saw, and then his remarks afterwards, and then piled on top his record, and him being expelled from, you know, about 5 to 6 other departments, yeah, I'm pretty much gonna say it's him, right? He doesn't know how to de-escalate a situation. I don't know who shoots in the head. I've never seen that. You know, so I'm just saying, like, there's there's situations that you can look at and clearly say, okay, right? We just had a situation here in DC, and it was a a police, you know, a police shooting, and I swear maybe like a couple hours later, people were out there just protesting, protesting, protesting. The family sends a letter to the department asking not to release the body cam footage. Now here in DC, they have to wear body cam footage because of all the BLM stuff and everything. DC was like, "Oh nah, we gonna release this footage because this is what y'all asked for." They released it, and all the protesters had to find out that it was him, right? And so now they're like, "Oh, that footage, didn't have to be released to the public. We knew, people knew that he was this and this and that, but y'all ain't had to release that footage like that." So it's like you want the footage released, right? You asked for the body worn cameras, you asked for the footage to be released. So now the department is just cranking them out. And guess what? It's going to come up when the officer is in the wrong, and it's going to come up when the suspect is in the wrong. So yeah, I totally agree. Like a lot of the times they exacerbate some of them situations. It's just awful. But with Angelique, I'm just gonna say she's like a classic case of um you get into a position, it's your first time in a position, you got a lot of money, you got people coming at you, you don't know, what you're doing. And I'm pretty sure this is probably not the first time, because why would the FBI and all of them like be actually zeroing in on you?
I think they did that because they know like she's green. Like it's like you're new here, and clearly by the way that she used the funds, it's like I feel like they know about misuse of power and misuse of funds and things like that. But it's better to go after the little fish who is green enough to actually fall for these boys. Like, because I feel like had they done this, or obviously they must have tried, with other politicians, or maybe in a different state, another way. Something should send off a red flag at your head sometimes, like.
Hmm.
But clearly, you know, it didn't send off anything to her. You just thought it was okay to spend, a little 20K on a shopping spree, and thought that that was going to be all good, and that was just going to be how, this was just, I guess, the start of everything for her. So it's mind blowing to me that they will be in these positions and literally abuse power, misuse funds, and then try and, berate around to other people about how great they are, how much of a difference you're making. Like, what was your motivation for getting into politics, really? Because now it just seems like you wanted to not be able to be held accountable for things.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the times they know that because they are a woman, there's a protection there. And then because they are a black woman, how we had the whole plaza, y'all can't question a black woman. How we had Steve Harvey, y'all can't question a black woman. I can question who I like. Like, especially when you asking me to pay for it. You want me to pay for your job? Yeah, I'm gonna question you. If it's coming out of my pocket and my taxes, you know, if it ain't, okay, well, do what you do. So, but I'm gonna go into the next lady we got on the docket here. It is Miss Tiffany Henyard. Now I've been following Tiffany since earlier this year. Like she wears me out. Okay. But she finally got she's done a whole lot of stuff with spending all of the town of Dalton's money. And for those of you who don't know who Tiffany is the mayor of Dalton, and she's also the supervisor of the township. So she
Oh,
has
okay.
two jobs. That's where they messed up at. They didn't get that woman two jobs.
In the same, yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Like, child. So they gave her, those titles, and she just went power crazy. She calls herself the super mayor. She showed up at one of the council meetings as Nino Brown. I'm not gonna lie, that was hilarious. I'm not gonna I did laugh. It was bad, but it was funny because she had the little dog too. It was like an episode of Martin. She
It's
had the
like they
little
never
dog.
taking it serious. Like, how can I take you serious? You're not even taking this serious. Like,
I was like, and she got up there and was asking about something. She went on the mic talking about, don't nobody know nothing. I said, girl, you are playing. Like, you are playing. Like, what is? At that point, I said, somebody get her to work in comedy or something because she don't need a job, but she funny. But she misappropriated all of the funds of the town, which was so bad because she's in a town that are mostly, middle lower middle class to low income black folks, right? Who are just trying to live in a nice town, nice little suburb, and she's, she's like going through their budget. Like they're so over, their normal budget that they don't even know how they're going to make up for it. And usually how that goes is they're going to raise property taxes, they're going to do all this stuff, right? And the people already can't afford none of that. So I want to get into this one here because Tiffany is already under investigation. The FBI and already, started that investigation. But she's still in office. I don't know how. I really don't. Right? They talk about Trump is a criminal and he might get to be president. Well, this lady is definitely a criminal and she's still there. So I'm gonna get into this and then we're gonna come back and talk about that.
A dramatic meeting in Dalton leads to even more controversy, this time over a new hire.
Not only did Mayor Tiffany Henyard make the hire without consent from the board, we're learning tonight the newest employee has a storied past.
Dane Placco has been following this. He joins us now with this exclusive story. Dane.
Yeah, within hours of Mayor Tiffany Henyard appointing a new village administrator last night, allegations were surfacing about his background, including some startling allegations of inappropriate behavior.
My next appointment will be for village administrator.
Last night, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard appointed a new top aide to a $100,000 a year job without board consent. 34-year-old Michael A. Smith, who's been active in South suburban politics for years.
The reason for Mike is he have a wealth of great information. He's a young person and ex-politician. He knows the laws like the back of his hand.
Perhaps that's because Smith has been in and out of trouble with the law for years. Public reporting shows Smith has been charged at least 8 times with crimes ranging from domestic battery to official misconduct. In 2012, Smith, then a young trustee in Dixmoor, resigned after pleading guilty to theft when he allegedly stole gasoline by posing as a police officer. Then in 2018, Smith was working as an assistant dean at Thornton Fractional High School when he was fired for sexual harassment of a female student, grooming a student with lascivious intent, and inappropriate aggressive behavior towards a male student. According to his termination letter, Smith was accused of contacting a 15-year-old female student on Snapchat with inappropriate comments and making her his girlfriend.
We have a constant pattern of her hiring people without doing a proper background check and presenting it to the board. And that's our issue. That could pose a great danger to our community.
Dalton trustees Brittany Norwood and Tammy Brown
Is alarming.
were not at last night's meeting when Smith was appointed. The 4 Dalton trustees opposed to Henyard postponed the meeting and say none of the action taken was legal.
It's very interesting considering the fact that she didn't have a quorum. So I don't understand how someone could be appointed.
Smith is replacing Henyard's previous handpicked village administrator, Keith Freeman, who fell out of favor after he was charged with bankruptcy fraud and is now believed to be cooperating with an FBI investigation into Henyard. But Freeman is apparently still on the village payroll and filling the job. So can you have a second village administrator?
No. We don't have the finances for that. As you all know, we are definitely in a financial bind, and we cannot afford 2 village administrators.
Now, late this afternoon, Smith responded to these allegations through Bo Brindley, who is serving as Henyard's criminal defense attorney in her other case. Smith saying through Brindley that he was cleared of any wrongdoing in the matter at Thornton Fractional High School by DCFS. He also says all the charges in those other cases we talked about were dropped, save one in which he pled guilty and paid a $50 fine. And he goes on to say, and this is through the mayor's statement, says Mayor Henyard renounces efforts by any individual to denounce a man's character based on unfounded allegations and charges that have been dismissed. Now, Smith was already working today at Dalton Village Hall when we stopped by there earlier. Trustees say they are going to try to block that appointment when they meet again.
Child. Not the dude that you already had on is being investigated for bankruptcy fraud, and you bring another dude on that is basically a pedo and also got run-ins with the law. You in trouble with the law. It's like, ma'am,
you are trying to give your boyfriends jobs. Like,
oh, that's exactly what it is. It's the same. It's the same thing as Fani.
Like, this is actually sad. Like, to know that these are supposed to be competent adults who are supposed to be in charge of entire populations of communities. Like, you're supposed to be in charge of an entire community, an entire town, an entire city, and you can't even have enough decorum to follow your job description. Like,
No, and the sad part is, honestly, to me, the sad part really is that every story here is the first, right? It's like Tiffany is the first African American woman to take that job.
she's gonna be the last.
Oh, she's definitely gonna be the last. She's definitely gonna be the last. They're gonna go find a white woman. They're gonna be like, I don't care where she's from.
Like, I don't know if you heard about here in Houston how Sheila Lee Jackson, the old mayor that passed away, she passed away this year. We now have a white man mayor. His name is Mayor Whitfield, and people are literally upset because he won the race, fair and square, and we're just upset. And it's literally like, do y'all even really care about your communities? Because she didn't do anything. But all I saw when she passed away was people talking about how she's like the greatest mayor of Houston. We love our black woman. It's just like she didn't do anything. But because she
You don't have to.
Exactly. It's like they're not held to any type of standard. Same with conference. Like you're not holding her to any type of standard. It's just like,
They're not going to, which is the reason why. Like, I always say, like I said this, with doing music, and I'm saying it with doing content. I wish I could lie to people. I swear, I wish I could. I would be so rich. I would just sit here like, yes. Yes, Queen. What's my girl, Pinky, that does the yes, 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 yes. I would do that. You're like, can I be whatever? Yes, 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 you can. Yes, yes, yes. Yum. Yes, good. Yes. I would do that. I would just lie. I would lie. I would tell, yes, you could be, yes, go ahead and be a single mother. Yes, go ahead and sleep with thousands of, yes, 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 yes.
Nothing matters.
Yeah. And I would get like, and don't get me wrong, like, telling the truth and everything, you still, if you're authentic, you're still gonna get the following, you're still gonna get all that. But it just seems like people who pander get it a lot sooner because go ahead.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I was gonna say they definitely do, but I also feel like you see their downfall a lot faster too. Because, I'm not sure if you know about a content creator. His name is Pastor Poppy Don, and he's like,
No.
he's very much like woman should never pay anything. You need to be taking your
Oh, is it my man that be coming out the he be coming out the
He's
he be
like
coming out
real
the mansion
aggressive.
sometimes.
Yes,
Sometimes he's sitting in the chair and he's like,
but
yeah, I don't never let my woman spend no money.
exactly. But now come to find out, he's not married to the woman that he calls his wife, and he also has a whole bunch of domestic violence charges against him from that woman and other women. So it's just like there's always
You know what?
some
There's
type of
let me write this down. That's another video right there. Cause what's his name? Pastor what?
Pastor Poppy Don.
Poppy Dawn. Child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because now don't get me wrong. Some of the things in there that he's talking about, some of it, yes, it makes sense, right? But
Yeah, absolutely.
you have to put it in context.
Because he's speaking, he again, it's like I feel like he knows he has to put some type of truth into it, but where he's coming from is speaking from, and like even if you look at his comments on his videos, it's literally all women talk about this is what men should be doing. He's the real example. You know, he'll even comment back to that and be like, "Yeah, if your nigga's not doing this, leave him." And it's just like you're not even doing that.
Yeah, but here's the thing that they keep missing. Like I'm the first, and I keep saying this. I'm the first woman in my family that actually wanted to do something outside of the home. And the first thing my mom and my grandma said was, "Why you want to do that?" Like they just look like but at the end of the day, yes, it is a different time. But what I got from watching them was that they didn't just do nothing, right? And a lot of the women that want this quote unquote traditional life have never seen traditional. I grew up in a traditional home. My mom never worked, my grandmother never worked, my great grandmother never worked. Okay. And so I watched traditional. And it's not just sitting on your butt, right? And my grandmother, my great grandmother, she was involved in a lot of community stuff. So you're not just not doing anything, right? And women need to be productive. They don't need to be just not doing anything. Maybe you don't work. You don't, you're not providing for the household, but there is something that you are doing. That's why a lot of rich women, right? They have foundations and things that they're doing, and that also, that can, add as a plus to your guy, tax write-offs, all that good stuff, all that
Yeah.
stuff. But they've never seen that, so they don't know what they're talking about.
On top of never seeing that, my great grandma raised me with my grandmother, and
Mhm.
I do believe like they were traditional women, or at least my great grandmother was. And I just think it's crazy because it's like she was that woman that got up before the sun was up to start cleaning for the day, start making breakfast for the day.
Your
She
mom
always
too?
told
Oh
me,
my god.
she always told me, you don't never leave the house with your hair done. Don't let people come over unless you're fully dressed and together. There's certain standards that they had, and so even with that, I've seen videos on TikTok of like there are certain wives that'll be like, "Oh yeah, I hope my husband doesn't see this video of this wife making her husband breakfast at 1 in the morning because I'm not doing that." And it's like obviously a satire because she'll be like, I don't want him to know that there's women out there that do this. There's wives out there that actually, cater to you, and these are stay-at-home wives that are judging stay-at-home wives that are doing really what I feel like you should
Oh,
also
so
be
they're
doing.
stay-at-home wives.
And she's judging other
So a
stay-at-home wives
trad
that
wife versus what kind of wife? What would that be called?
I feel like that would just be a stay-at-home wife because it's like they're
So
not
just a
doing
regular
anything.
stay-at-home mom, like a modern stay-at-home mom,
Yeah, because
and
it's like it can be stuff as little as making lunch for their husbands, making lunch for their children, cleaning the house, being presentable, like things that I resonate and would put towards a traditional wife, traditional mom. They don't do those things. They literally just stay at home. Lunches are bare minimum, very much
so
store
what
bought.
are you doing?
That's my point. Yeah. And that's why I
Like,
don't think it's
because at this
realistic
point,
anymore.
You
at least for
are a
me,
liability, and I'm just doing what?
exactly. And then
Like
just
what is the benefit of having you here?
there's no benefit, like, and that's why I think men and women are kind of like, all these women nowadays want to be stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home girlfriends, but it's just like, you're not doing anything. And then you get mad when he gets home and he's, trying to decompress because of work or whatever that looks like for him, and they just want
Right.
to be all up under him. And I'm just like, dang, you don't have any hobbies, like you don't have anything that you do. And they
No.
don't. They don't. They just want to spend money. They just want to, go
As my
shopping.
grandma used to call it, you don't have no business about yourself.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. No business at all. They've never had
No.
any aspirations, and that to me is what makes the traditional life model so bad now, and to where it's like it's not really beneficial to do nowadays because they're not doing what those women did. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're slighting women who get up early in the morning and cook for their husbands. You're slighting moms that like to take their kids to school every day because they just like the car ride with their kids, or the moms that like to do their kids' hair every morning. Like, you can just see a parallel difference between like the moms and the wives that actually enjoy being a mom and
Yeah.
a wife versus the ones of them that look at it as like a job, or look at it as just like,
Oh,
this is just
I hate those women. Those, oh, if I had to put a hourly rate on it, like,
exactly. And you
because
don't even
anything that you love to do, you would do it for free,
absolutely.
right? When people ask me about music, I would do it for free. When people ask me about commentating or podcasting, I would do it for free, right? So if you love to do something, and this leads me, and it's off topic, but I think a lot of women just don't like their kids. They
I
don't want to be moms.
telling you, I'm telling you that I literally, me and my man were just talking about that because I was just saying how there's always this, like, when school was about to start, all I saw was women post about, oh, I can't wait for these kids to go back to school. Oh, I can't wait for this, can't wait for that. And it's just like, y'all don't really enjoy your children. Like, you don't actually, because then it's like,
No.
I also follow other moms who adore and love being a mom, adore and love being a wife, and the content is different. The way they speak about their children is different. It's just the conversations are completely parallel. And to
And but
me,
that
that
that's
just
that's
shows
the
that,
thing with the single mother thing. That's why I don't like it,
yeah,
because you're in the struggle, right? And when you're struggling, you're just trying to make it. You don't really get the focus on loving a child. Like, like you're maintaining it. You're not really raising it.
yeah.
You know?
So
So that's why I don't like that whole, yeah, you could be a single mom, it's okay. Like, if that happens, okay, right? Because it's so many things going on nowadays. But to purposely to tell these young girls, hey, yeah, you could be a single mom, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. No, like, please strive not not to be. Why not? Like, why not tell them that?
exactly.
Like, you know
Well,
how hard it is. Why not tell them, yeah, I figured out a way to do it, but it's hard.
yeah, and see, that to me is why, I was reading this psychologist, and she was talking about, like being pro life and things like that. And she said, something that like really I picked out was that, a lot of people feel like we're entitled to be parents, or that we're entitled to children. And she was like, I don't think a lot of people understand. It's like people that like try for years, or maybe, they're outsourcing for IVF or adoption and things like that. Everybody was not meant to be a parent. And just because you feel like you want to do that, or it's something that we should all do, doesn't mean that you should. Just like home ownership, we're not all meant to own homes, but some people feel like it's a rite of passage to own a home, just like children, but they're
Mm-mm.
not. This is very much, I feel like, a very set group of people should be allowed to do, because only you can only successfully do it a right way. And that's something too. People don't feel like there's a right way to do things, but there is. There's a way to, you know, set up a foundation and be successful in it. But if you're just telling people, oh, because you're just, a human, you're entitled to these things, that's why we keep
Yeah.
failing.
Yeah, we're definitely not entitled to it, and I don't think all women are great mothers. You know, just as we can call out men who aren't great fathers, all women are not great mothers. Just because, okay, yeah, you did bring somebody here, right? But that doesn't mean that you're a great mother. And so, like a lot of the times, I hear women speak from that point of, "Well, I brought you here." An ex. So, you know, and when I say that to old school, old school women, they get so upset. I didn't ask. I didn't ask. I'm sorry. Ma'am, I didn't ask. Come here. Sorry. So that one's on you. So what we talking about? Like, like it's the same way a lot of these people feel about like police officers and things like that. Like it's a thankless job.
Absolutely.
Right? So you didn't tell them to become a police officer. Like some of the stuff is gonna come with it. So it's the job. As a mom, some things come with it, and your kids may not say thank you. Like even if you're a great mom, right? Your kids may not, but that that's the choice that you make, right? And your kids aren't necessarily yours. When I say necessarily yours, meaning like yes, you rear them, you raise them, and things like that. But a lot of people like they feel like they have such an ownership that
Yeah.
yeah, that that the kids must acquiesce to whatever, and I do mean whatever, and it could be not like it can be terrible. It could be terrible views, their political views. Because I'm seeing that right now. Like the kids are like, "Hey, I have a different view on this, and I'm not going to vote for a Democrat." Da, da, da. And I'm seeing it all over TikTok. Parents are like, "Oh, it happened in the last election." I remember a lady that was like, "Oh, if you want to vote for if you want to vote for Trump, you can get out my car." And I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Like we have no safe space as a, especially I feel like coming from our community, there's no safe space to have feelings. There's no safe space to have boundaries or privacy. Like when I was with my mother at times in my life, she would tell me, "You don't get privacy in my house. That doesn't exist. You know, you don't get to have feelings. That doesn't exist. This is my house." And it's just like I don't get to be a human because I'm
yeah,
like
exactly. Like I understand having, your children have limits, right? Like, yeah,
absolutely.
you can close your door, but maybe you can't
See, I
lock your
wasn't even
door.
no. See, I wasn't
Maybe
even allowed to have a door. Like my
I've
mother,
heard some kids say
like
that. Oh my God.
no, there was no bedroom door because privacy does not exist. Like it was so extreme at times.
It's like, yeah, and it's like, how do you teach your kids? How do you teach your kids certain things when you're telling them their first interaction with whatever gender it is that they don't get boundaries, they don't get space. So I look at all this that we're talking about right now, and I apply it to these ladies, right? Fani, single mom, daughter, single mom. Um, Tiffany is single, hot girl summer type chick. She got this dude, putting people all on the payroll, on the backs of other people's tax dollars. You have Angelique, she want to go shopping. She want to get Birkins. She want to buy this, get nice shoes, Christian Louboutin shoes. Like the government is her dude, or like the contractors are her man, right? I'm just looking at it like it all comes back to kind of like that, like the house. What kind of household did you grow up in? Like what kind of representation did you see? And now you see that representation acting out because you can fake the funk while you're in school, and when you work certain little jobs, and you can act like you have class and you know how to act, but that to me that real you gonna show up.
Absolutely.
It's gonna show up at some point, and in each one of these cases, when they were able to be unchecked, the real them came out. So I'll let you have the last on it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think the overall message of all of these women, their theme is the same. It's like you're not stopping generational curses like everybody says they are. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing better. We're not doing better at the end of the day. Like, as much as people want to cheer them on and say all these positive things, just like you said, I'm looking at your real life. I don't believe that you can even be breaking generational curses from the moment that you had a child out of wedlock. You already started, you already continued the generational curse. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
it's just everybody wants to work in this like hindsight, retroactive mindset when it comes to life and accomplishments, and just because they're black, we're just supposed to erase everything up until that point, and it's just like, what do we do? I'm not gonna agree to that. I'm not gonna cheer you on for doing that. I actually have standards. I think that we should hold everybody to the same standard. And if you don't follow through with those things, I'm not going to cheer you on just because you look like me. Because that's not. I don't rock with anybody just because you look like me. I want you to have the same values as me, the same end goal as me, which is hard to find.
It's definitely hard to find because you already know how I feel. And I've already said I have come to the conclusion that I am a pick me. And I have and I have already acquiesced to what I know most are gonna call me or say about my views, or the fact that I don't want to just vote for Kamala because she's a woman or because she's supposedly black, or I've even gotten now. Oh well, you're a mixed race woman. Don't you want to see another? I'm like, oh, now you gonna come at me with that angle? No, I don't care about that either. I didn't care about it with Barack Obama. And I don't care about it with her.
We just
You know, I'm like, nah, y'all trying to get me. No, I don't care. I'm still waiting on the policies. I'm gonna keep stressing that in every video. I don't even care if the video not about it. I'm waiting for the policies. I keep looking. I don't see them, but they're gonna
All
be
she
mad at
do
me.
is keep doing the same thing Trump said. She come back a couple days later and be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna write that down. That's what I'm gonna do."
Yeah, she said we gonna do them tips. I said, girl, please.
First of all, I saw Donald Trump. He did an interview. He said, "I just said that." He said, "I saw her say that." He said, "I thought to myself, I just said that."
And he was like, man, that's a good
That man is
idea.
a comedian.
I
He
said,
is.
yo, he a clown. He be clowning. And I say to people that don't like Donald Trump, I be like, you be at home laughing. I was like,
This man
I
is
was like,
funny.
that man, yo, my friend Jules, who's a liberal, she can't stand Donald Trump, but she said, I ain't gonna lie. She was like, when we were watching the debate, and he said he doesn't know what he's talking about. She said, I screamed. She said, okay, he funny. All right, he funny.
You can't help but laugh. It's funny. It's like,
Oh
they say.
Lord, that
Like I
man is
said,
hilarious.
I'm
But
very much
yeah,
excited for this election. I'm excited
yeah.
to,
Mhm.
you know, um, to the topic. I just think we need to let go of this idea of representation. We need to move away from the idea of sticking with people just based off what they look like physically, and really start getting into the nitty gritty, the details, the policies, the laws. Like, what are these women doing with their positions, because they're being put in the news now for things that have nothing to do with benefits to their communities or anything. So,
And
this
it's
is,
an embarrassment for everybody. Women, black, white, Mexican, Selenas, all of that. It's an embarrassment. That's my movie. Anything for Selenas. I was like, girl, how can you do this? How can you mess it up for them like this? But as always, I appreciate you coming on, Cam, and talking, about I would say ratchetness, but I'm gonna try to let them have whatever decorum or class is left. But talking about just the uncomfortable topics, that women sometimes don't ever want to talk about, and calling it out and saying, okay, yeah, how can we change this? Because this is a poor representation. Like, I have to, if I want to do something, I have to go up against this, you know, or if I want to, champion somebody, this is what they're going to see. And why should we give you a shot? Yeah, do men mess up and things like that? Yeah, but you're saying you're the underdog. Okay, why are we doing this? Why are we allowing, women to stay in power that do these type of things? So as always, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I want to thank everyone who's watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you thought, what you want us to talk about more. Well, how many times you want Cam to come on? Because somebody in the comments, I can't remember which video I put up, or was it a short or something? They was like, "Oh, well, are you gonna bring her on more? And you should have her on." I'm like, sir, like,
let us work. Let us work.
But I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I appreciate everyone who watches. But again, like, comment, and subscribe, and get down in the comments and let us know. Again, I'm your girl, Pop Culture Mika.